Hi, today I'm showing you my absolute favourite way to make a balloon knight. We're using mainly 5-inch round balloons and some of the long twisting balloons to add some of the details. For my knight, I'm inflating two 5-inch balloons to 5 inches in diameter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for me with this balloon hand pump, that's 5 strokes of the pump. I'm putting a twist in the neck and then I'm catching hold of that neck in the balloon just against my hand pump just to trap the air inside, and I'm going to inflate the next balloon. And it's really important when we're inflating balloons with the hand pump that as soon as we've inflated we remove the balloon from the hand pump, otherwise the balloon will deflate, it will lose air through the pump. So let me show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and remove straight away. Retract the pump, put a twist in the neck, take hold of your other balloon, wrap the necks over one another, wrap around once, twice and tie. Okay, and you're going to need to make another one of these in exactly the same size. I've inflated 3 more clusters, but this time sized to 3.5 inches in diameter. So for me, that's 2 strokes of my hand pump. I'm going to connect my first cluster to the bottom and I'm just going to pull one of the necks from the lower layer, pull it up in between 2 of the balloons in the upper layer and wrap the neck around those balloons in that top layer. And it's important that the balloons in our top layer sit between 2 balloons in the bottom layer. And I can connect my next clusters together in exactly the same way each time, just pulling one of the necks from the lower layer, making sure that the balloons in the top layer sit between 2 balloons in the lower layer, and then just pulling the neck around the balloons in the upper layer. That creates a really strong connection, and I can do the same thing with my next layer. Again, just finding a neck, pulling that between 2 balloons in the upper cluster, and as I do so I'm just kind of nudging the balloons in the top layer into position to ensure they're sitting between 2 balloons in the lower layer. And I can add my water weight. So I'm just going to pull the neck from that water weight into the base here, and then I'm just going to wrap that around some of the balloons in the next layers. Cinch everything together. Just wrapping that around. And if you want to know how to make water weights or sand weights, I'll leave links in the description below to my tutorials. I've inflated my next 3 clusters to 4.5 inches in diameter. So that is 4 strokes of my balloon hand pump. And I'm just connecting these together in exactly the same way, grabbing hold of one of the necks in the lower layer. Sometimes you find that one of the necks in the lower layer will be slightly longer than the others, so you might just want to test the necks in the lower cluster just to find the longest one, and you can do that just by pulling on each one and you'll find one that is just a little bit longer for some reason. Okay, and I'm adding my next layer, and it's important that for this layer that I've got the 2 black balloons are sitting above this black balloon here in the lower layer. I've inflated my next cluster to 4 inches in diameter. So if you're using the same hand pump as I am, that's 3 strokes of the hand pump. For my knight's visor on his helmet, I'm using a 350 twisting balloon. And if you don't have a 350, use a 260 instead, if those are more readily available to you. And I'm pushing the balloon down onto the top of the tip of the hand pump. Okay, so it's all wrinkled and bunched up here. And then I'm going to inflate with 3 strokes of this hand pump. 1, 2, 3. So that bubble is about 10 inches or so. And then I'm going to put a twist in the neck there, tie. And I'm just going to give this a little bit of shaping. Oops. And then I can make a twist here. I can snip off the end and let out, and tie. Don't let the air out, definitely don't do that. Okay, and so you've got this 10-inch bubble with a bit of a curve in it, and then we can tie the ends together. Okay. Pull that knot tight. So that's what you've got. And I'm just going to slip the stretchy bit over the balloon at the top here and just position that there. And pull it out slightly. I've inflated my next cluster to 3.5 inches. So 2 strokes of my hand pump. I'm connecting that in exactly the same way, and then I can add my final cluster sized to 3 inches, so that's just 1 stroke of the hand pump. For the nose, I've inflated my balloon to 3.5 inches in diameter, so that's 2 strokes of the hand pump, and I'm just pulling the neck around the black balloon, and then I'm bringing the neck forward and wrapping it around the stretched out neck of the balloon that I'm using for the nose. So wrap that round a few times, and then you can just let that go. For my knight's arms, I'm inflating a 360 twisting balloon with 3 strokes of the hand pump, and I'm just going to put a twist in the neck. And if you don't have a 360, don't worry, use a 260 instead. Your knight will just have slightly skinnier arms. And I'm going to inflate a round balloon now to 3.5 inches in diameter. And that's 2 strokes of my hand pump, and tie the 2 together. Okay, and then we can put a twist in the top of the balloon here and snip off the tip, and then I can tie this. Okay, just pull the knot tight. I've inflated a 260 with quite a long tail of 7 fingers. And I'm just going to grab hold of that 260 and wrap it loosely around the wrist. And then I'm just going to pinch hold of the balloon here and twist. Okay, so we're just going to make some cuffs for our knight's arm. And then I'm just going to take that knot and nozzle and I'm just going to push it through here. Okay, and then I can squeeze this balloon to soften it and break it off or cut it off, and just let a little bit of air out of this one. Tie, because we can save this and use it for our next arm. And I'm just going to now tie these ends together a couple of times, and then I can trim away the excess and just snip that away with my scissors. You're going to need to make another one of these. So we're going to tie the arms together very loosely. So you've got this stretchy bit here, but this knot, now pull that tight. Okay, and we can trim away most of the excess here. So pull the stretchy bit under your knight's nose and pull it back, and then when you reach the back, just cross these 2 over one another and then pull the arms round to the front. Okay, and if you find that the arms are a little bit too loose, we want a bit of give in them, so that's fine. But if you find that your knight's arms are hanging quite a bit, then just repeat that and bring the arms round to the front and then to the back again, and that will just take up some of the slack. And you just want the arms to be like this, and at the moment they're sticking out, but don't worry about that, we're going to fix that. So tie a 160 or a 260 twisting balloon to your knight's wrist. Okay, and then we're going to bring that twisting balloon and the arm across the front. I'm going to pull the arm downwards, and we're going to just pull that twisting balloon and cinch it into the body. I do want a little bit of give, so I'm just going to pull that out a little bit more. And then I am just going to wrap that 160 around one of the balloons here, just to secure the position of the arm. And then I can bring the other arm down and I can wrap that twisting balloon around the wrist, and I'm going to tie it onto one of the balloon necks that is hidden by the cuff at the wrist. Whoops, so I'm just tying that on. Okay, we'll take a look at him, see how he's looking, and just adjust anything. So there he is at the moment. I'm inflating a 260 twisting balloon, and I'm just going to push that twisting balloon far down onto the tip of the pump. Okay, so it's all kind of gathered and scrunched up here. And then I'm inflating with 2 strokes of the hand pump. So that's maybe a bubble of about 12 inches. And I've just given myself a little bit of extra stretch here, and make a twist here. And then I can snip off the end and tie. Okay, and then I can just give this a bit of shaping, and then I can tie the ends together. Okay, so I want a little bit of stretch here, and then I can tie. Okay, and I can trim away the excess, and you're going to need to make another one of these. I'm going to attach these here, so I'm just going to pull this stretchy bit into this gap here. So I'm just pulling that up over the top of this balloon, and then I'm going to pull it forward, twist it around, and then push it back down. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So just pull this into the balloons here, pull it upwards, twist it around. That's just going to lock it in position so it doesn't come undone, and then we can just push it back down. For my knight's shield, I've inflated a 260 to a 3-finger tail, and I'm going to start off by making a very small bubble of maybe 2 fingers, okay? And then I'm going to pinch twist this. So I'm just going to grasp hold of the balloon here, and then pull on the knot and nozzle here, and just fold that over, okay? And then I'm going to twist. So twist several times, and that should hold. If you find that this pinch twist is coming undone, then one of the things you can do is just take hold of that neck, stretch it out, and tie a knot, okay? And that will secure your pinch twist. But hopefully you don't need to do that. Give your balloon a little squeeze just to soften it. And I'm going to make a bubble that is about 10 inches and make a twist, okay? And then I'm going to make another bubble, okay? And I'm going to fold the balloon over, and we're going to pinch twist this bubble as well. But because it's a pinch twist in the middle of the balloon, we can do this slightly differently, but the principle is the same. So we grasp hold of this small bubble that we made, pull it upwards and twist. Okay, and that should hold. We can give the rest of the balloon a squeeze to soften it, and then we can break it off or cut it off. Just let that down, and then just let a little bit of air out of this one and tie, because we can save this piece for the next stage of our shield. Okay, we can now tie this and secure that, and then just trim off the excess. We're going to repeat that process. So we're going to make a small 2-finger bubble. We're going to fold that over and twist it around. Okay, so that should hold. If you're worried, tie a knot. If you're not worried about that coming undone, then don't bother tying the knot. And I can just trim away that little bit of excess. And then I want to make a bubble of about 6 inches. So I'm just going to twist that around and then make another small bubble. And again, we're going to pinch twist this in the same way. So we're going to grasp hold of it firmly, pull it outwards and twist around. And the reason we pull outwards is because that's pulling this bubble away from these 2 bubbles here. So that's going to reduce the friction and reduce the chances of the balloon popping. I'm just going to snip off the end, let the air down and tie. Okay, and we can trim away the excess. I'm going to locate the centre of this bubble and I'm going to twist. So I'm going to make 1 twist and then I'm going to compare the bubbles. If I'm happy with the bubbles that they're even, I'm going to carry on twisting. I think this bubble is just slightly smaller, so I'm going to adjust, make 1 twist again. I'm happier with that, so I'm going to carry on twisting, okay? And then I'm just going to hang on to those 2 bubbles between my fingers, because if I let go, they will come undone, okay? And then about 1/3 of the way down the balloon here, I'm going to make another twist. Okay, so these measurements are very approximate, so don't worry if yours are slightly different. And then I'm going to connect these 2 sections together just by twisting them around one another. Okay, so that's what you've got. I've inflated another 260 twisting balloon to a tail of a couple of fingers, and I'm just going to take the knot and nozzle and I'm going to wrap it into the bubble at the bottom here. So just wrap that around several times. Okay, and then bring your balloon upwards and just push it down slightly just to give a bit of a curve, and then just pull the twisting balloon into that pinch twist there and wrap it around a couple of times. Okay, and then we can take it back upwards. Give your balloon a little squeeze just to soften it. Next, I want to wrap the balloon into this pinch twist here, but I want to have a bit of a curve here. So decide how big of a curve you want, and I'm going to go at that. So that's maybe a bubble of about 8 or 9 inches, and just pull that into the pinch twist there. And then we want to make another bubble to match this one. So we can measure that and make a twist at the appropriate point, and then pull this around and wrap it into the pinch twist here. Okay. And then just give your balloon a little squeeze to soften it. And then we want to make a bubble to match this one as close as we can. So I think that is about right. So I'm going to make a twist here and pull that into the pinch twist at the bottom. Okay, so I can snip off the end and let the air out, and then I can tie this into a knot. Okay, and then we can adjust our pinch twists to help hold the shield in position. At the top here, we can give these corners a bit of shaping, and I can snip off the excess here. You're going to need a 160 or a 260 twisting balloon, and I'm just going to wrap that twisting balloon into the cross piece at the center, okay, and connect that. And then I'm going to use this twisting balloon to attach to my knight's wrist. So this is a great way to use up any twisting balloons that are past their best, to use them for connecting your balloons to your sculpture. So if you've got any twisting balloons that are feeling a little bit hard or wrinkly, then this is a great use for them. So just pull that into the wrist and then bring the twisting balloon back, forward, back to the middle there, and just wrap that around a couple of times. And then I can cut away the excess. And then I can just adjust my knight's shield. For the sword, I've inflated a 260 twisting balloon with a 4 to 5 finger tail, and I'm just going to bend the balloon upwards here, and this bubble I want to be about 12 inches or so, and then I'm just going to twist these and spiral these two balloons together. So I'm just going to wrap one in front of the other and bring it backwards and just kind of maintain some tension and just spiral this around, okay, until you get to the top, and then just squeeze hold of everything and pull that knot into that bubble there, okay. So you've got the point of the sword. We're now going to make the handle for the sword. So I've inflated a balloon to a tail of a couple of fingers, okay, and I'm going to make a bubble of about 4 fingers, maybe 5 fingers, okay, and make a twist, and then I'm going to make another bubble of a couple of fingers. He's getting in the way. Okay, so just twist that bubble. We want to make a bubble the same size as this one, so just fold the balloons over and measure and make another 5 finger bubble. Okay, so that's what you've got, and then twist the knot here into this twist here, okay, and you can pass the knot and nozzle through the center just to help ensure that's not going to come undone, okay. And we're going to make another 5 finger bubble, so just measure, that's approximately the same, and make another 2 finger bubble. And then we're going to make another 5 finger bubble to match this one. So again, just measure and twist. Okay, so that's what you've got. And then bring everything together and twist around. Okay, so this is what you've got. Okay, I'm fully inflated now, which is not what I want. I need to let a little bit of air out of my balloon. Okay, so I'm just going to let the air out a little bit and tie. Okay, that's just given me a bit more room in this balloon. So I'm going to make another 5 finger bubble, measure, and make a 2 finger bubble. Okay, and then make another bubble to match this one. So I'm just going to measure and twist, and then twist these 2 bubbles together here. Okay, and then I'm just going to let the rest of this balloon down, and I can tie that in at the center. Okay, and I can trim away the excess. So we've got the hilt for the sword, and then I'm going to twist this section into the center here and wrap everything together. And then at this point, I can snip off the end and let the air down and just tie that into a knot. Trim away the excess. So this is what you've got. I've got another twisting balloon and I'm just wrapping that into the centre of that cluster of bubbles, and this is going to be my attachment point. So I'm just going to look at where I want to attach this, and I'm just going to tie this just below the cuff on the suit of armour at the wrist. So I'm just going to pull that in and then pull that back round and wrap into that cluster of bubbles, and I can trim away the excess here. And I can just have a look and adjust everything. I've fully inflated to 260 and I'm just going to let out all of the air. So we're now going to make the plume for our knight's hat, which I think really makes this sculpture stand out. And to do this, I've borrowed my husband. So he's making a special guest appearance. So what I'm doing, I've got my pocket pump here and I've attached a little piece of 260-28. So you can use anything that's cylindrical for this technique, and I'm just going to tuck the tip of my uninflated 260 under this piece of 260 that I've tied on, and then I'm going to spiral the 260 around the pocket pump. But when you do this, it's really important that you keep the bit of the 260 that you're spiraling around the pocket pump, it's really important that you keep it flat and that there aren't any creases, okay? So I've come to the end of my pocket pump, and at this point I'm going to hand this to my assistant, okay? So thank you. So you need to just hold the end here. I'll keep hold of the 260. Okay, so just pull this taut and then we can inflate. And it will just spiral around. Okay, and at this point we can pull this off. So I can just let a little bit of air out here, and I'm going to make a twist here and tie. Okay, so can you just remove the tip end there, please? Yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to remove some of the air and tie. Okay, so what we've got here, we've not got an absolutely perfect spiral, which is exactly what I want. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these ends together here and tie them together. And this is going to create the plume. Now, when you use this technique this way, you tend to get very different shapes, and I think it's a lot of fun because it gives a lot of character to your knight and gives quite a bit of movement to the helmet. So thank you, darling. I'm going to just use the stretchy bit here just to pull the plume into the helmet and wrap that bit of excess around a couple of times, okay? And then we can just adjust the plume and see how it looks, what looks best. And what I like about this technique for creating these spirals is each plume turns out differently. So, you know, you can just adjust it. And I love the movement that that gives to this sculpture. So you can see from these two different variations what a difference the shape of the plume can make on the top. And I just love the fact that each one with this technique turns out just slightly differently.